today we are bringing you the topic Riding the Revolutions, Preparing Our Youth for Industry 4.0. This is sharing by our lecturers from Utah Center for Foundation Study, Canberra campus. And today we are proud to invite Miss Cynthia as the moderator and 4 panelists, Miss Choi Wen Sin, Miss Paul Min Chi, Miss Cao Li Fen, and Miss Maccabi to share with us what is the Industry Revolution for and how the parents can play the role. After the sharing, there will be the Q&A session. Audience, please feel free to put your questions in the columns of Q&A in the Zoom. Due to the limited hour we have, sorry that we may not be able to answer all the questions. Only the selected will be answered. And Zoom is our main platform. We have also to share the live to the Facebook page we have for you. If you happen to have friends or the parents that are not able to join us in the Zoom, kindly join us at the have for you Facebook. Okay, now the show is come. Please, now we are officially to start. Now let us welcome Miss Cynthia, today moderator, to host the webinar. Miss Cynthia.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tam. All right, so good evening to everyone and welcome to today's forum, Riding the Revolution, Preparing Our Youth for Industry 4.0. So I'm Cynthia Chu, a lecturer at the Center for Foundation Studies, Canberra campus, and I'll be the moderator for this forum tonight. So as mentioned by Mr. Tam, right, there will be a Q&A session at the end of the forum. So feel free to post your questions in the Q&A box below, and I will ask them on your behalf at the Q&A session at the end of the forum. So as for the Utah staff and students, okay, please be reminded there is a attendance form, okay, for you to sign in and out for attendance. So to sign in for this form, okay, you have to use your Utah email account, okay, and also please submit this form twice, once for signing in and another time for signing out, okay. So this link will be posted in the chat box later, all right. So coming to today's topic, all right, we have heard of the term the Industrial Revolution 4.0, and it's also known in short as in IR 4.0. So it's said to be able to transform the way we live, the way we communicate, and the way we work, and also the way we study. But what does IR4 actually mean? Okay, and also in terms of readiness for IR4, okay, are our youth ready? Okay, and how can parents, and teachers, okay, help to support these youth, okay, to ensure that they're up for the challenges, right? So for today, okay, this evening, we are glad to have 4 panelists, okay, who are very keen on this topic and wish to share their thoughts with us. So all 4 of them are lecturers from the Center for Foundation Studies, Canberra campus. Okay, so first off, we have Miss Wendy Choi, who is from the Department of Science and Engineering, and her area of expertise is in education in information technology. Next, we have Miss Ho Ming Chi. She's from the Department of Science and Engineering as well, and her area of expertise include computer-based learning system, multimedia design. Okay, our third panelist for today is Miss Nicole Kao. Okay, Miss Nicole Kao is from the Department of Arts and Social Science, and her area of expertise is in psychology. And lastly, our 4th panelist, Miss Pakavi Pari. Miss Pakavi Pari is from the Department of Arts and Social Science, and her area of expertise is in psychology as well. So without much further ado, we'll first hear from our first panelist, okay, Miss Wendy. So Miss Wendy, okay, so there might be some of our participants tonight who may not be familiar with the term IR 4.0. So can you share with us a general overview of IR 4.0, and also in what ways will IR 4.0 affect industries in the future?
All right, so thank you, Miss Cynthia, and a very good evening to all. I'm Wendy. So first of all, what is Industrial Revolution? That would be the first thing that I'm going to share. So practically, in short, Industrial Revolution is actually the fundamental change in the way products, including goods and services, being produced, delivered, and consumed. So that will be the Industrial Revolution. As you can see here, the revolution timeline. So Industrial Revolution stated back in 1684 with the IR 1.0. So that will be the first revolution on mechanization, steam power, and weaving loom. Then in 1870, so IR 1.0 is replaced with IR 2.0 that focus on mass production, assembly, the use of electrical and energy, etc. So then with the rise of computing technology and information technology, so IR 3.0 took over with the automation, computers, and electronics for all the mass production and everything. So everything will become more precise and faster. And that will be back in 1969. As for today, now we're in IR 4.0. So IR 4.0, everything is connected and cyber. So the industry is moving towards cyber physical system, Internet of Things, networks, and also AI. So I guess most of you wonder, so which area are actually affected by IR 4.0? So typically, almost all or every facets of business sectors and arenas are actually affected by the IR 4.0. So as you can see, some of the examples here, those affected will be cybersecurity, all right, for the security part. So previously we'll have cybersecurity, and now we have IoT security. All right, meaning that not only we are talking about the security of our cyberspace, we are talking about the security of all the Internet of Things as well. That's for the transaction from centralized repository, we have blockchain now. As for interface, so all the controlling previously, and I think now we are in the middle of the transition. So we are using buttons still, okay, and we are moving towards voice and gesture to actually control most of our machines. Then next will be on decision making. So previously we use data and spreadsheet to actually help in our decision making, and we are moving towards with using artificial intelligence in helping to make decision. Then mobility drivers, all right, previously manual drivers, okay, so sooner or later we do not need any drivers, okay, we have autonomous driving, okay, and even autonomous driver, so you do not need a driver, you just call a car and the car will come, okay, without any drivers. Then factories, so previously we have human manpower, and now it will be replaced with robots. So that will be some of the examples and the area that actually affected, all right, by this IR 4.0. So following are some of the examples of the changes, okay? So just now will be the areas affected, okay? So now we are talking about the changes. So actually what are the changes from IR 1.0 to 4.0? So where are we in the Industrial Revolution now? Right, so in IR 4.0, in short, okay, they are talking about manual. Then IR 2.0 starting on electrical. IR 3.0 will be on the automation and the internet. As for IR 4.0 will be on intelligence. So some of the example of the revolution changes we can see from here. So firstly, in education. So from chalk and top, all right, then you can see that in IR 2.0, we start with the projectors, all right, and we still need manpower, okay, a teacher or student as a teacher as a facilitator, then the student will be confined in the class. Then IR 3.0, all right, so we have online learning, all right, and for IR 4.0, we will have maybe augmented reality and virtual reality involved in learning. All right, so that will be the changes in education. Then second example will be the changes in conference registration. So practically it's most of the registration, not only the conference. So with IR 1.0, everything will be manual. All right, you have to write down in the log and so on. Then for IR 2.0, starting you can have automatic, okay, registration, okay, using the computer. Then IR 3.0, you can have self-registration, all right, with online. As for IR 4.0, so it's more intelligence. You just need to scan your face, all right, and you will be registered. So that will be the changes for registration. And lastly, will be the changes for the way that we pay for our shopping, all right. So as you can see here in IR 1.0, so again, manual. So you have the 555 logbook, okay, and cash, all right. So for you to actually check on your transaction, okay. Then for IR 2.0, starting on the machinery, then we will have the cash register. IR 3.0, we have the card register, all right. As for IR 4.0, so it's the smart register, all right. So meaning that we do not need to provide any of the magnetic card, okay. So we just need to tap our smart devices like our smartphone and smartwatch to make our payment. So that will be the changes in payment. So are we Malaysian ready for the changes, right? So let's see. According to the KKMM Insight and also MITE, so this resources is from KKMM and also MITE, all right? So our Malaysian is currently ranked number 31 for the world most tech-ready country. So we can actually say that we are quite ready for the changes, all right? And if let's say the world most tech-ready, so what is the technology involved? All right, so the technology involved in IR 4.0 including, so all these technology, so we have big data analytics, artificial intelligence, augmented reality, cybersecurity, additive manufacturing, simulation, system integration, IoT, cloud computing, autonomous robots, and also advanced materials. So what are they actually? All right, so additive manufacturing. So additive manufacturing, in short or generally known, is actually 3D printing. Okay, but for this 3D printing, they are going to use the new material to actually open up new possibilities. All right, so that you can see one of the examples here is we can actually print live organ. All right, with the new material that are actually coming up, okay, so that it will actually help in our health area. Then the next one will be artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence, in short, we call it the AI. So it's a concept that made up of numerous subfields such as machine learning that focus on the development of programs that can teach themselves to learn, understand, reason, plan, and act when exposed to new data in the right quantities. So practically with AI, machine can think itself. So if they are in the whole factory and they are linked up, okay, they can actually detect the problem and they solve their own problem. So this will actually make the production more efficient. Then we have big data analytics. So big data nowadays will be quite a big topic, okay? So what big data is actually? So the increasing big data techniques are being applied in manufacturing industry to improve customer experience and product quality, realize energy efficiency, and the conduct predictive maintenance. So practically big data is all the data that collected to improve on the what the product needs to improve and so on. So it's a mass collection of data and everyone will have different data tagged to them, okay? And we're with the big data analytics, they are going to cater to your needs better. Then we have advanced materials. So this one I've actually introduced in the first technology, all right, with the additive manufacturing. Okay, so for the advanced material, with the new materials like the biological vice and the nanostructure are being developed, so allowing for manufacturing material properties, example for shape retention and thermoelectric efficiency. So all these will be the new material that we are going to use in IR 4.0, so that we have more possibilities. Maybe we can have something that we might not have now. Then the next one will be on cybersecurity. So cybersecurity previously, currently we have also cybersecurity, but our current cybersecurity will be the digital security, and it will soon become a critical aspect that not to be overlooked in the industry, as everything is actually connected. So we have to look into the security of all the things that is connected in the network to make sure that we have a safe environment whenever we are actually online, and all our machine is also safe. All right, so that's the security. Then the next one will be on simulation. So simulation is actually it's already there, okay, now, but this simulation will actually involve the AI. So practically all the technologies in IR 4.0, they are correlated, all right? So this simulation, for current simulation, all right, we will have the data, we key in the data and we see what will be the result. So for the future simulation, it will be with AI, the help of AI, so that the simulation can be actually taken to the next level in production, in education, or in any parts that we need simulation, so that we can actually have a better ideas and understanding on what actually happens. Then the next technology will be cloud computing. So cloud computing, I guess, will be the IR4 technology that's quite common nowadays. So it actually helps in storing all the documents and everything online. So with cloud computing, many of the Industry 4.0 technologies can be made available to even smaller companies. So like I said previously, so most of the technologies in IR 4.0, they actually are integrated. So we need to use multi-technology for certain thing, all right? With cloud computing, even smaller company, they can actually use the technology because everything will be stored online as long as they have the connection. So that will be cloud computing. Then coming will be augmented reality. So while the initial augmented reality technology are still in nascent stages, so they are advancing in a rapid pace. So some of the first application can be found in the delivery of information and training. So augmented reality means we are going to bring the virtual to real life. All right, meaning that we are going to see the actual thing that's actually virtual, but we manage to see it in real life. So this one will actually help, for example, here, it can help to actually deliver the part replacement instruction to the maintenance staff in the field. So for example, if let's say the machine need a part replacement, all right, so for the procedure, they do not need to have a normal manual procedure. They can have this augmented reality and that will show the whole machine parts by parts where to replace and so on. All right, virtually, but then it will be in real life. So that's augmented reality. Then we have Internet of Things. So Internet of Things, actually for Industry 3.0, it brought in the era of computing. Then the interconnectedness, but if rely on human. So Industry 3.0 is internet and we connect humans together. So in Industry 4.0, the technology we are moving towards connect things together to make everything connected so that we can actually control everything easily. All right, so everything will be connected so that they're actually integrated. So we have the smart home, smart control, and so on. That will be all Internet of Things, and it will make possible with the sensors and connection and also connectivity. Then next one will be on autonomous robots. So machineries and robots are transformed towards the next generation. So currently we will have robots to help in our production as well, but the current one will be just, they are going to do the repetitive job, okay? The same thing over and over again. So for autonomous robot, so this technology allows the system to think, act, and react autonomously as well as conduct remote decision making. Means they can make their own decision to make that particular product better. So this can contribute to the company's competitiveness, productivity, and also profitability. And last, we have the system integration. So system integration occurs in vertical within the industrial value chain and in horizontal system across multiple value chain. So eventually achieving end-to-end digital integration across the entire value chain. So system integration means that we are actually joining the subsystem into one integrated system to improve the productivity and quality. So we have a lot of information system now in the organization. So instead of having a lot of sub system, we are going to join them or integrate them together to become one system so that it's easier to control and it can improve productivity and also quality. And that will be the end of my sharing. So we are going to go back to Miss Cynthia.
Okay, thank you, Miss Wendy, right, for enlightening us about the concept of IR 4.0 through the information. They're very, very useful, and the examples they have shared with us. Okay, so coming up next, right, we have our second panelist, Miss Hall. So, Miss Hall, from your perspective, do you think that if a person has, acquired the skills, in coding, okay, is it enough for this individual to be competent to face IR 4.0? And also, as mentioned earlier by Miss Wendy, she mentioned that IR 4.0 will actually have impacts on education. So how does IR 4.0 affect education?
Okay, so thank you, Miss Cynthia, and also thank you to Miss Wendy for the insightful sharing on Industry 4.0, right? A very good evening to all of you, right? I'm Ho, and I will be here to share on the role of education in Industry 4.0. Well, as being shared by Miss Wendy, Industry 4.0 focus on smart technology, AR, VR, AI, robotics, and many more are now affecting our daily life, right? So as we all aware, almost everything, right, is transformed today, like such as home appliances with IoT technology, right, are can be accessed while we are not physically being present at home. Another example, such as showroom of a new housing development, can be visited virtually, right, via AR technology, right? What about especially during the pandemic of COVID-19, food and even daily supplies, right, like tissue paper, right, are being ordered and bought online. So ladies and gentlemen, can you see how rapidly the technology is transforming now? Right, so as such, schools and universities, right, must prepare their students to be equipped, right, with the right skills, right, in order for them to remain relevant and also competitive in Industry 4.0. Well, that's why we have this education 4.0, right? So what is education 4.0? Okay. So education 4.0 is a learning approach that aligns with the emerging industry 4.0. So for industry revolution, it has go through a series of revolution. So education also has go through a series of revolution in order to align with the revolution of industry. So let's take a look on the revolution of education. Well, in education 1.0, is the use of a chalk and blackboard, right? It's a very conventional type of teaching and learning, and always learning will happen within a class. And when it comes to education 2.0, right, it's the utilization of technology in a basic way. Like example, in a class, you may get to see a computer with a projector, and still the learning is always occur within a class. When it comes to education 3.0, then it promotes internet-enabled learning, which means learning now not only happen within a class, but learning can be learned through online. And what about now we have the education 4.0, right? So for education 4.0, it promotes remote learning via augmented reality technology or virtual reality technology. And also this education 4.0 encourage problem-based learning through hands-on practical. The reason is because students tend to learn better, right, through hands-on experiment. Okay, if so, guidance from teachers is very, very important, right? So a teacher will have to guide the student along the whole learning process. And at the same time, they have to provide constructive feedback based on students' performance. And what about assessment method? assessment method in education 4.0 is not limited to only like written assessment, but also like involve hands-on assessment, like a practical assessment, like lab tests, right? This is why in universities, right, we are not only having final examination, but we also have this practical assessment, lab tests, assignment, presentation, right? Okay, so while in education 4.0, so we hope that we can impart, right, some important skills, right, for students to face industry 4.0. And let's take a look on the 10 skills that you need to strive in industry 4.0. Okay, so we have the complex problem solving, critical thinking, and then, okay, the third skills here is creativity skills. While I would say that many of us tend to overlook the creativity skills, but creativity skill is very important. Because creativity skill helps in idea generation, and a good idea will eventually lead to a proper solution, right? This is why creativity skills is one of the essential skills in industry 4.0. And then we have like people management, coordinating with others, and so on. And these are all related to communication skill and collaboration skills. So while in overall, I would say a person must be a critical, must be a problem solver, must be a critical thinker, must be an innovator, and also must be a communicator in industry 4.0. Okay, so while in order, right, to impart the essential skills, right, to students in order to handle industry 4.0, some of us, right, promote the learning of STEM, right? So I believe many of us, we are quite familiar with the term STEM, right? Because as we get to see a lot of STEM activities organized by universities and schools. So what is STEM, right? So STEM is the learning of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So through the learning of STEM, we hope that students will pick up some skills like problem solving, like critical thinking, logical thinking. But what about creativity? What about communication skills? Right. So that's why now we have another learning called the STEAM learning, right? Okay, so what is STEAM? So for STEM, right, it stands for the learning of science, technology, engineering, mathematics. But as for STEAM, it stands for the learning of science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and lastly, the A here is stand for arts, right? Well, it seems like by incorporating arts in STEAM learning, it's just to enrich the learning process, or is to improve the interest of students in learning. But while arts is not just about the enrichment of learning process, right? So now I would like to explain more on STEAM, right? Of course, I will explain more on arts as well. Okay. So the components of STEAM, there are these 5 components, right? Science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. So in science, we will get to learn about biology, chemistry, physics, right? Because we hope that by learning these sciences here, students will get to improve their thinking skills, right? Like logical thinking, critical thinking, right? Problem solving skill. Then what about in technology, right? Computer literacy. So computer literacy is referring to the ability of using computers in performing daily tasks, like For example, you have to know how to use like office tools such as like Microsoft Word in creating Word document, or another example, like you have to know how to use any presentation tool like Microsoft PowerPoint in creating presentation slides, right? And what about if you need to analyze data, then you have to know how to use any spreadsheet software like Microsoft Excel in data analysis, right? So, well, that's another example as well. Cloud application, as being mentioned by Miss Wendy, right? So cloud application is very common nowadays. So example of cloud application like cloud storage, how do we use like example like Google Drive, right, in sharing files with others? Okay, so we have to understand, right? Almost every job nowadays, right, required some form of computer literacy. Therefore, computer literacy is very important. Then next, we have this programming. Okay, so well, the purpose of learning programming is because to understand how the technology works and also to understand the technology around us, right? Okay, and also programming is actually the process of developing a solution in solving a problem. In a way, programming, right, will get to improve the critical thinking skill and the problem solving skill. Okay, well, now I would like to answer to Miss Cynthia questions is about if a person has picked up a coding skill, right? So can they safely assume that they are competent to face Industry 4.0? Well, of course, programming is very important because programming used in the development of a new technology or a system. But in the process of development a new system, involve also the designing and the planning stages, right? So in this designing and planning stage, involve idea generation. So in a way means, right, we need creativity, right, to help us in idea generation. And then what about the communication skill, like collaboration skill that you need to apply in order to collaborate with your member within a team, right? So therefore, I would say if you want to be a well-rounded person in Industry 4.0, programming is important, but do pick up some skills like creativity skills and also like communication skills. Right, so I hope that I able to answer to Miss Cynthia questions. Okay, so next is engineering, right? Engineering is referring to the creation of a new system and technology, and always it involves the implementation of what you have learned in science, and then with the use of technology in the whole creation of system and technologies, right? Okay, and then what about mathematics? So mathematics, okay, science and technology interpreted through engineering and arts, but all understood with the elements of mathematics. So which means, right, mathematics used across many disciplines, right? Like example, like in science, okay, biology use perhaps like algebra or statistics. In chemistry, we may have to use like logarithm, calculus. And then in physics, wow, vector and many more, right? Then what about in technology, right? If you want to use any technology in data analysis, then it involves statistics skills from mathematics. So I would say if you get to master mathematics skills, you will find it easier to learn sciences and of course technology as well. You see, this is why we always get to hear people saying, if a student is weak in mathematics, then he or she will find it hard to cope with science and technology, right? This is the reason, because mathematics used across many disciplines, right? And then what about arts? Arts here is not just about drawings, right? But arts here also involve the learning of language, like learning of language in how to communicate with people, such as communication skills, such as like presentation skills, right? So arts involve learning of language arts, of course involve of performing arts, visual arts, and humanity and social studies, just like ethics, right? So the learning of arts will definitely able to help a student to improve their communication skill, collaboration skills, and also creativity, right? Okay, so therefore, by implementing the STEAM learning in Education 4.0, so we hope that students can at least pick up most of the essential skills, right, in Industry 4.0, right? So that's all for my sharing of today, right? Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Hall. Right, thank you so much for the clear explanations about STEAM. And yes, you have answered my questions earlier. Not only for me, right, but I think students who are joining us tonight, okay, they might be curious, okay, because some of them might be from, IT background, right, and they are curious about, what other 10 skills, okay, that they are supposed to, know about, all right, in order to be an all-rounder, okay? So thank you so much, Ms. Hall. So up until now, right, we have heard about the general idea of IR 4.0, okay, and also its effect on education, okay, from our two panelists. So now we'll move on to our third panelist, okay, who is Ms. Nicole Carl. So Ms. Nicole, all right, are there any stages of child development that parents should be aware of in order to help the child to be competitive in IR 4.0?
Okay.
Mm.
Okay, thank you, Cynthia. Hello, good evening. I'm Miss Kaulifan. Thanks to Miss Wendy and Miss Ho for your insightful sharing. Let me and Miss Bakawi continue to share our opinion based on psychological aspect. I will mainly focus on how can we prepare our child to the fourth IR through the viewpoint of one of my favorite psychology, Jean Piaget. Jean Piaget pioneering in developmental psychology, and he proved that children are not less intelligent than adults, but they are learning and reasoning in a different way. Research has shown that much of what you need to succeed in life is established before you enter to the kindergarten. So do you wonder whether your child is developing appropriately? Okay, let's see the Piaget model cognitive of development here. Like you see in the picture, is the staircase model showing from sensory motor state, pre-operational state, concrete operational state, and formal operational state. These stages occur from our infancy, babyhood, childhood, adolescence, until the adulthood. So throughout these stages, our brain, our mental is learning in a different way. All these stages must happen in sequence. The growth of the intelligence cannot be rushed by skipping stages before they are truly completed. Okay. Like Ms. Ho shared about the 10 essential skills just now, I would like to further discuss what can parents do to help their child in different states of life to develop the 10 essential skills. Okay, let's come to the state 1. Sensory motor state occur from 0 to 2 years old. Baby understand the world mainly through the 5 senses. Like what you see in the picture, during the sensory motor, our brain want to see, hear, smell, taste, and touch as much as possible. Okay, that's why you always see your child touching everything, grabbing everything, and putting it in their mouth. Babies are very busy to discover how to use the 5 senses, and they also discover how to move their body around. This helps them to explore the world and learn what they are capable of. So in this state, how can parents help their child in a sensory motor state? So I suggest 3 ways. First, sensory discrimination. Under this, parent, you can help your baby to differentiate 2 different sensory. Like parent, you can give a cold and wet towel. Immediately afterward, give a warm and wet towel to let the baby to touch and experience in 2 different sensory. For second, object differentiation. Under this, baby learn to differentiate object from one another. So for example, the children may learn to differentiate her toy based on different color, size, shape, and other sensory detail. Parent, you can show 2 similar objects but different in color and size and let your child to differentiate it. And under motor skill, parent, you can provide free and unrestricted time to your child. Lay her down on soft and clean mat. okay, on the floor, freely allow her to claw, move, roll over. It helps her to learn how to control her body movement. So, Piaget mentioned that in sensory motor state, the main achievement of the children should be hand-eye coordination and also object permanence skill, or we call as the OP skill. Object permanence means knowing that the object still exists, even if it's hidden. Okay? At the beginning of this state, if you hide the toy under the blanket, the child will think the toy just simply disappeared. So it's important to help your child to obtain the OP skill. According to Piaget, the development of object permanence is one of the most important accomplishments. For example, this is comforting if your child knows that her mother is still exists, even when she leaves the room. So this is to help the child to develop secure type of personality. That's why a peekaboo game always make baby happy. Okay, when mother cover her face with her hand, the baby thinks she's gone. But when she reappeared and she's returned. Okay, when come to the state 2, pre-operational state occur 2 to 7 years old. Pre-operational state divided to pre-conceptual substate and intuitive thoughts. Both focus differently in cognitive activity. Okay, under pre-conceptual substate, children's mind are in the animism. Animism means that the children believe that the object is alive, like the table and the chair are alive, the toy is alive, the Santa Claus is exist. The child like all those colorful and magical things during the pre-conceptual substate. And also, children is egocentric. They cannot think the perspective of others. They are self-centered. Even sometimes you can observe from your child. Sometimes they are talking non-stop, but they are not interacting with other children. Okay, and development of language is also the main learning experience in this state. Children start to able to attach the meaning to the object with the language. So during this state, the child brain is actually lack of conservative also. Okay, lack of conservation, like we see in the screen here, means not reversible thinking. Like we see in the picture beside, okay, that is a glass experiment. If you have a child within 2 to 4 years old, okay, so you may do this to test your kid. Okay, step 1, okay, you may look into the picture. Step 1, prepare same amount of water in 2 same size glasses. Step 2, you may pour the water in one taller and thinner glass and another one to the shorter but the wider glass. Step 3, if you ask your child which glass have more water, typically the child will say the taller glass have more water because it is taller. Okay, so the child is focused to the height of glass and fail to conserve, fail to notice that actually the amount of water is still the same. Okay, so during the intuitive thought, 4 to 7 years old, children tend to grow very curious and ask many questions, and they start to use a primitive reasoning also. So how parents can help a child in this state? Firstly, parents, you can help your child to attach the meaning to the object with the language, to identify the symbol, and to express the emotion appropriately. Okay, in this state, parents can use action and verbal instruction to teach your children new idea and concept. Demonstrate your instruction because they are not yet able to think through the process and not yet master the mental operation. And parents, you can use a hands-on activity at home with your children to help them to learn and understand complex skills. Always encourage imagination to help your children to develop abstract thought. Okay, if you guide your children properly, parent, so in this state, you are preparing your child for the early mental development. So with all these, parent, you can prepare your children for certain essential skills needed in IR4. For example, creativity, like just now mentioned by Ms. Ho, creativity is one of the essential survival skills in 4th Industrial Revolution. Pre-operational state is the early state for the children to develop creativity. Parents should encourage spontaneous learning and allow children to learn on the new things. Parents can employ effective questioning by asking your child many questions at home to trigger their mental. Okay, so ability to coordinate with others also another essential skill. By teaching your child to express their thinking and also to be a clear communicator should be guided in this state. And being emotional intelligent is one of the most important skills needed as well. Emotional intelligence will become one of the top skills needed by all. Parents to teach your children to process their own emotion and to be sensitive to the emotion of others. So this leads to a lot of the positive results from better physical health to the happier relationship, to better academic performance and to maintain the relationship. This is definitely a survival skill. Okay, when come to the state 3, concrete operational state occurs 7 to 11 years old. Our brain has developed to the different level now. First, reversibility. Okay, what is the reversibility? Is the children started to understand that number or the object can be changed now. Okay, so and also they know that the number or the object can be changed and also can be returned to the original state. For example, 30 plus 20 equal 50. So 50 minus 20 equal 30. Okay. Second, decentering. Child start to think for the multiple aspect for solution instead of only stuck in one. Conservation evolve. If you still remember the glass experiment before, so in this state, if compared to the previous state, children already know the amount of water in the different size of glasses are same. And in this state, children able to think logically. So how parents can help your child in this state? Okay, at this stage, children often understand the concept of fairness because they are no longer egocentric. Okay, sharing and empathy. She learns to focus more on the alternative perspective and can see other possibility to the problem or situation she faces. Okay, helping and guiding your child to develop a basic reasoning skill is essential in this state. Encourage your child to do some simple house experiment will help her to develop logical and analytical thinking skills. And this will prepare your child to the essential skill like negotiation. Negotiation is one of the important skills to resolve any differences that arise between you and another person with logical and analytical thinking. It's beneficial to the negotiation skill of discussing any issue with others and to manage the conflict and build a harmonious relationship. And cognitive flexibility, also a significant one. Children who completed the concrete operational state with proper guidance by the parent or the teacher have more flexible mindset. Okay, someone who is more cognitively flexible will able to learn more quickly because the children with flexibility able to change their mind when it's needed instead of stuck into one old solution. Okay, other skill like coordinating with others and language skill continue to develop in this state. Okay, when come to the state 4, formal operational state happen 12 years old onward. Okay, your child have developed complex thinking and hypothetical deductive reasoning skill. Okay, means the teenager in state 4 become more scientific and logical in the way they approach the problem. Okay, what is hypothetical deductive reasoning skill? It's the ability to find out the factor and the cause precisely for the problem. Okay, let me explain what is hypothetical deductive reasoning skill. For example, imagine a man, Mr. Ho. Mr. Ho decided to bake some cookie. Unfortunately, the cookie did not turn out so well. The cookie will burn. Okay, Mr. Ho, to solve the problem through the hypothetical deductive reasoning skill, he will consider all the possible causes his cookie did not turn well, such as the key ingredient, improper oven temperature, or perhaps he leaving the cookie in the oven too long. So Mr. Ho will change one variable at one time and bake the cookie again to determine the most likely cause to the failed cookie. So means that hypothetical deductive reasoning skill, one can actually test one by one until you find out the most precise cause. Okay, imagine another man, Mr. Lionel. Mr. Lionel who solved the problem without hypothetical deductive reasoning skill. He will try to change all variables at one time by adding milk, adjust oven temperature, changing the baking time. He doesn't know how to solve the problem in logical and methodical way by changing only one variable at one time. So in this state, hypothetical deductive reasoning skill is one of the main achievement actually, okay, to solve the problem in more scientific way. And reflective thinking is a critical thinking processing referring to analyzing and making judgment about what has happened. So how can parents help, especially not already teenager, how can parents help your child? Your child will develop idealism in this state. So teaching broad concept and help them to relate to their life is important. Parent, you should provide emotionally support environment to your kid and appreciate even though your kid has a different opinion with you. Apply less stereotype. Okay, if your child performs differently with the mainstream of the culture, try to understand them before you prohibit them. You may encourage your child to use some text tool also to enhance their learning experience. And the survival essential skill may obtain from this state. For example, complex problem solving. Complex problem solving is a skill to define the problem, determine the cause, selecting alternative for the solution. Critical thinking, including evaluating and decisions making, okay, making judgment and making decisions properly. And last but not least, mindfulness. Mindfulness is a practice all about living at the moment. Parent, you can help your kid to accept the current thought and feeling and to focus on the present moment to form a correct mindset, the growth mindset for preparation to the fourth industrial revolution. Yeah, that's all from me. Thank you for listening. I pass the floor back to Cynthia. Thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you, Ms. Carl, for your very detailed explanations on the stages, okay, and also the essential skills, okay, which are important. And I think these information are very useful for parents who are joining us tonight. And also the the simple glass experiment that we mentioned just now, right? I suppose this is a very simple activity that parents can give it a try at home with their kids. Okay, so thank you again to you, Ms. Carl. Right. So up next we have Ms. Bakawi, our last panelist for today. So Ms. Bakawi, after hearing from other panelists, okay, there might be some participants, okay, who may be concerned, okay, whether IR 4.0 present any psychosocial effects, okay, and so what are the steps that parents and teachers can use, okay, to support our youth to be adaptive to IR 4.0.
Okay, thank you, Miss Cynthia, for your question. First of all, hello everyone. Very good evening. So far, my fellow speakers, my fellow panelists have been sharing about what is fourth industrial revolution is all about, how our life are changing, how our education are changing, and also what kind of skills that we need to survive in the fourth industrial revolution and everything. So for my part, I would like to talk about the psychosocial effect. That means what actually fourth industrial revolution is, how they are affecting our society. Because I believe that only when we understand the effect, we will be better equipped to deal with the situation and we will give the required attention. Okay, so let me share with you the first psychosocial effect, the concern that I would like to highlight that I think we will face in the fourth industrial revolution. So the first concern that I would like to highlight is talking about the technological changes. So yes, we all know that fourth industrial revolution is promising a lot of technological advancement in our society. But now the question is, are we people, are we ready to accept, to adopt, to cope, and to move along with these changes? Previously, the first speaker was sharing about how ready is Malaysia to adapt to this fourth industrial revolution. She also shared about Miss Wendy. She shared about this ranking, and she said that Malaysia is within the first 50 list in how we are ready. But yes, at that same time, we also need to focus on how ready people are, because a development of a country does not only depend on the technological advancement, it also depends on the people's ability to be in tune or to move along with the technological changes. Okay, because I feel that when you're not able to move along, if you're not able to accept, adapt with the changes, that will actually let people to fall behind in a lot of components in a society. Okay, I think we all get a glimpse of this situation when first Movement Control Order MCO was announced, where all aspects of our life, the way we work, the way we communicate, the way we purchase things, basically the way we live our life, were transformed into digital platform. So yes, some people were able to pick them up, but for some people, unfortunately, they needed some time to breathe. They needed some time to understand what was the changes. And by the time they pick up the technology and move along, they were lagging behind, or they were falling behind in some of the components. One thing that I can highlight is talking about education. So during lockdown, government suggested to pick online learning. And in fact, yes, we know that online learning is always an option. But at that time, how quickly were the school able to look into the changes, choose the right system, right software? The teacher needed some time to learn themselves the technology, and the students themselves needed some time to transit, to move from face-to-face learning to online learning. So I would say that to a certain extent, the students, the teacher, the education itself were lagging a little bit behind on the learning process. So now the concern that I would like to highlight here is talking about people's capability in the society to move along with the technological changes. Imagine like a race, right? So in the race, you need to run along with the technological changes in order to survive this fourth industrial revolution. So yes, that's the first concern that I would like to highlight. Second one, talking about how fourth industrial revolution is going to transform the job and skills in the future. So the rapid development of technology is quickly replacing human skills in the workplace. Previously, machines, software, technology, they were only designed and replacing human muscle skills. But nowadays, there are so many software, there are so many technology are being designed, are being trained to replace humans' connective skills as well. So a lot of research on fourth industrial revolution is suggesting that artificial intelligence, robotics, algorithm, and all the other components of latest software is said that they will destroy, they will crush. Yes, those are the words that's being used in the research. That they are saying that they will destroy millions of jobs by the time we reach the year 2030. But luckily and thankfully, research is also pointing out that fourth industrial revolution will create more jobs than they would destroy in the society. So I think all of us can agree if I say that a lot of our kids in primary school are actually leading to work in a workplace where most of the jobs has not been created yet. So does that mean that we will have a hard time to survive this fourth industrial revolution? I would definitely say no, we will survive. The only thing that we need to do is we need to make sure we equip ourselves with the right skills that would be needed in the future, like how Ms. Ho was sharing about the 10 important skills. So take note that right now, human skills is something common. We give values to software, but one day in future, software, machines will be something common, and human skill will be very much in value. So what we have to do right now is make sure we equip them so that we can move along, we can survive with this wave of transformation. So yes, that's the second concern that I want to highlight. The third concern that I would like to talk about is the interaction between people and technology. So yes, fourth industrial revolution is changing basically our life. So it's creating too much dependency on technology, increasing the time we spend with technology. So a lot of people worry that the more you depend on technology, the more you spend time to work with technology, that will cut the closeness, the proximity that we have with another person. Yes, that will cut the closeness, which eventually will cut the interaction, which eventually will negatively affect how we relate with the others. So yes, technology, software give us the opportunity to be a part of a virtual team like we are right now. We are a part of virtual team, yes, but it could not be equal to being in the presence of others. Like yes, right now I do have the flexibility, I do have the comfort of being at my home and sharing the thoughts with you, but it could not give me the closeness, it could not give me the face-to-face interaction with the other person. So this is one of the concerns that many people are talking about when we reach to fourth industrial revolution. And also, when you have too much technology, they also create an assumption that we are available 24/7. Yes, thanks to technology, we are available 24/7, but the inability to draw a clear line between your personal time, personal work, work time in the workplace, and the time you dedicate for technology use can further lead to physical and psychological issues. So we need to pay equal attention on this issue. So Ms. Cynthia, to answer your second question, what can parents or what can teachers do to support our younger generation to survive this wave of transformation? So I would say that first, yes, like what Ms. Ho was suggesting just now, make sure we instill the younger generation, even those people who's going to work for another 20 years, another 30 years, make sure we equip ourselves with the right skills that is needed. So the fellow speaker just now, they were talking about creativity. So I would like to talk more on resilience and adaptability. So resilience is how quickly we can recover from the difficulties that we are facing. So in fourth industrial revolution, when the changes is constantly happening, you must be resilient. You must quickly recover. Okay, if this situation is not working, if this solution is not working, okay, let me pull myself out. Let me direct myself to the right direction. So being resilient, recovering quickly, and having the skill of adaptability. That means having this concern or this skill that I will adapt to the situation. That means if there is technology today, I can work with them. If there is no technology today, also I can work with them. So you must be able to adapt to the situation. So we need to always remember, no matter how sophisticated the technology is being created, they will not replace, they cannot replace basic human skills, which will be very much in value. And yes, make sure we better equip them. And the other direction that fourth industrial revolution is leading us is lifelong learning. Yes, this is something that we cannot ignore nowadays. With so much changes that is happening, we must be ready to learn. Learn today, tomorrow, if there's new thing, be ready to learn them as well. So in this lifelong learning, I think three important keywords are learn, relearn, and unlearn. So always be ready to learn new knowledge. If the knowledge that you have learned yesterday, if it is not relevant, be ready to unlearn them and relearn the new things that is needed. So even it's for career, even it's for self-development, we must be ready to learn. There's no end for your learning process. So graduate cannot think that if I already graduate, that's the end of my learning process. No, we must be ready to pick up new things. We must be ready to adapt to changes. We must be sensitive to the environment around us so that we can keep on learning. And last but not least, of course, talking about growth mindset, which was shared by Ms. Cowlifan just now. So talking about growth mindset is what kind of mindset do you have in the society? So growth mindset are basically those people who believe that they are in control of their own ability. So usually people who have growth mindset, they believe that if I want to learn something today, I'm fully capable of learning them. So no matter if you are 20 years old or no matter you're 60 years old, growth mindset are those people who believe that there's no end to learn. If I want to learn something today, I just have to put effort. I can learn them and I will develop them. And one unique thing about these people who have growth mindset is they are less likely to give up, which I think is very much important in fourth industrial revolution, because it's going to throw you with a lot of changes, with a lot of situation. So you need to have that flexibility of adapting to the situation, and you need to believe that, okay, if this is the situation, let me look into what can I do, let me direct myself to the right direction, and of course have this resilience and adapt to the situation that is given. So yes, Miss Cynthia, those are some of the things that I believe that as a parents, as a teachers, or basically anyone around the younger generation can help to direct them to the right path. So yes, Miss Cynthia, those are my sharing. Back to you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Bakavi. All right, so thank you so much, okay, for sharing your thoughts. I mean, you share about, you know, the psychosocial effects, okay, and the three ways, you know, that not only parents and teachers, but anyone, okay, even for students who are with us tonight, okay, they can, you know, use these methods, right, to be adaptive to IR 4.0. Okay, so thank you to Ms. Bakavi. Okay, so now we are here for the Q&A session. Okay, so we have questions from our participants for today, right? So first of all, okay, we have one question here from Ko Jung Feng. I'm so sorry, do forgive me if I mispronounce your name. Okay, so from Ko Jung Feng, he asked about, you know, how will, you know, students who, you know, graduate from arts, okay, able to survive in this IR 4.0. So I guess Miss Ho, would you like to give it a try to answer this?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Miss India. So to answer to core questions, right? Okay. Well, as an arts graduates, right, you will get to learn some of the sciences as well. Like I give you some examples. Let's say you need to produce a drawings, right? Drawing involve a perspective. So you have to make sure you have measured the perspective properly, right? Draw the perspective properly. If not, your drawing will look imbalanced, right? So now it involves mathematics. Another example is like contemporary arts, right? So contemporary arts is the type of arts that used to present the advanced technology nowadays. So if you do not know what are the advanced technology nowadays, then you wouldn't be able to convert it into arts, right? So now it involves technology, right? So well, never forget that you should have a good creativity skills as well. So therefore, I would say that as an art graduate students, right, you still be able to survive, right, in this IR 4.0, right? That's my answer, right? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Ho. So hopefully, Jung Feng, okay, hope that, you know, the answer by Ms. Ho, okay, has, you know, enlightened you on this question. Okay, So next, all right, we have an anonymous attendee. Okay, so sorry because I'm just reading the name according to your username here. So there's a question here relating to how do we help or engage a child who's reluctant to talk, who's about age 2+ to speak. I think this student, this child has speech delays. So Miss Kao, would you like to give it a try for this one?
Okay, Cynthia. Okay, first of all, you have to send the child to the professional assistant. And also what can I advise is like something you shouldn't do. For example, do not pressure your child to talk and keep asking him or her to speak up. Okay, and also do not, let's say you're a teacher, do not purposely pick the child, answer the question openly in class. Okay, or don't have to pressure your child to like say, thank you or like please every time. Okay, this is while it's important to teach manners, but don't expect to push the child to say it all the time because it may increase the social anxiety. Try not to criticize. Okay, criticize or scold your kid if let's say they are reluctant to talk. So what can you do? For example, parent and teacher, you should praise any effort to the child makes to talk. And for example, if the child come to the teacher and say, can I go to the toilet? Then the teacher can reply like, it's good, that's good. I'm glad that you asked me about this. Okay, whenever the child make an attempt to talk, make it positive experience. So always encourage the children to play together. And also parent, you should be a role model at home by talking about themselves and also their own feeling. Okay, so but I still advise that parent, you should send your kids to, for example, counselor or the proper assistant. Okay, thank you very much. This is my answer.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Kao. So hopefully, anonymous attendee, okay, you have a rough idea, okay, on, based on Ms. Kao's explanation, okay. So the third question, also from an anonymous attendee, okay. So is the final objective of AI to permanently replace human labor or only to allow for a greater potential to be reached by humans in general, or is it for a completely different purpose? So I think this one should be answered by Ms. Wendy.
Okay, so hello. So actually this question is quite open, but in my opinion, I don't think so that the AI objective is to permanently replace human labor. All right. So this one is like for AI. So AI is actually to make our production more intelligent so that everything that we do, it can be more integrated, okay, and the machine can be more intelligent so that they can actually detect their own problem, they can fix those minimal problem and so on. All right, so we still need human in my opinion. All right, but maybe some of the career, okay, or the jobs might be affected. All right, but not totally. As for is it for a completely different purpose? So this one is depending on the field that you use the AI for, because AI practically you can use it in many different fields depending on which type of machine that you are using. So I hope that answered your question. So Miss Cynthia, is there anything else? All right,
okay,
thank
all right,
you.
Thank you, Miss Wendy. Okay, all right. Now, the next one we have from Hui Chi Lim. Okay, so she's asking, she's posting this question to Miss Kao, right? So, whether is there other way to improve children's logical thinking skills apart from the ones mentioned earlier? And also, should we impart all these essential skills such as creativity and language skills to young children? Let's say they are aged 2 years old. So, Miss Kao, the floor is yours to answer this question.
Okay, thank you for the question. So like how to improve the children with their logical thinking. Actually, like just now what Ms. Ho Ming-ji said, especially for the child who are in the early state, although the language skill not yet developed. Okay, let's say the children who not yet developed the language skill, they're still in the early state. So except the skill I provided just now, parent in this state, you may teach a simple mathematics to your child. because a lot of the evidence show that learning of mathematics actually can support your child with the logical thinking. In the early state, like sensory motor state or the pre-operational state, so parent, you can help your children to learn mathematics by connect mathematics to like literature. Okay, for example, parent, you can get your children a storybook that embed mathematics concept and idea, and same time enhance their reading skill as well. So if the children already increase in the language ability, like in the concrete operational or formal operational state, children, you should engage with problem solving tasks that, like for example, available material like block, sand, and water, let the kids solve the problem with their own way. So you may learn how to think logically through the problem solving when you solve the problem, or you try to testing one by one on solving the problem. And why we have to learn, we have to train our kid or to prepare our kids since the young age, like early childhood, because human brain undergo the most rapid development during the early childhood. Actually, according to the psychologists like Sigmund Freud, actually the most important brain development happen in the first few years, like 5 or 6 years in our life, the more profound in any future year. So it's a period when the child build a cognitive skill, the foundation of reading, mathematics, science, and academic. So, and especially the emotional growth, including gross motor skill as well. So also the children who taught at the early stage usually benefit in, for example, they are lesser chance, or actually they are not likely to commit crime, or their negative relationship with all the like delinquency behavior. Yeah, this is my answer. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Ka. All right. So hopefully Hui Chi, okay, Ms. Ka has answered your answer. All right. So next one we have from Wing Kit Ng. Okay, so this question is posted to Ms. Hall. So I would like to ask Ms. Hall, okay, to explain what is cognitive flexibility, and if an art student is lacking of this skill, right, does that mean that he or she is unable to survive in IR 4.0?
Well, in order to answer to earn questions, right? Okay, I wouldn't say only art student will be lack of cognitive skills, cognitive flexibility skills. So any one of us may lack of these cognitive flexibility skills, right? So if you would like to improve that, my advice is you have to be keen to learn new things. Be curious with anything surrounding you, right? So from there, I believe you will be able to improve your cognitive flexibility, right? So yeah, this is my answer. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Ms.
Thank
Hall.
you.
All right, thank you. Okay, we have another question, okay, from anonymous attendee. So this question is asking, will Industry 4.0 have any impact on youth's mental health in terms of feeling pressured due to not being sufficiently equipped with certain skills? So can we have Ms. Bakavi?
Yes, Miss Cynthia. So to answer this question, first of all, talking about this fourth industrial revolution, right? So obviously, fourth industrial revolution, there are going to be a lot of changes, which is going to happen in the future, now, today, tomorrow. So sometimes the changes may not give the comfort that we need. So when we are not feeling comfortable, of course, we may feel pressured. So instead of feeling pressured, so what I would suggest to younger generation, or even graduates who are about to graduate, so what I would suggest is try to be open to the changes. Because as we know that a fourth industrial revolution is definitely going to bring changes, whether we want or whether we don't want, the changes are going to be there. So what we can do is try to be open and adapt to the changes that the fourth industrial revolution will bring. To look back at what I was sharing just now, talking about adaptability, right? So adaptability is it's a skill I think all of us should have, where you feel flexible to the situation. Because even if we look at people who are working today, we do not know how would our work change in another few years. Like for example, in the starting of 2020, like for me, I didn't even know that I would be teaching online. Come to July, I'm already teaching students online. So the changes is going to be happening. So instead of feeling pressured by the change, try to have this idea of being open. So when you are open to changes, so you'll be more open to learn. So like I said, learn, relearn, and unlearn, right? So we must be able to be sensitive to the situation around, especially workplace trend. So usually if you are graduating, so usually graduates are very keen to apply to the jobs. So when they're applying to the jobs, try to read, try to analyze what's the job place trend. What do you think would be in demand? So nowadays, there's a lot of skills that we could pick up from online learning. So make sure we are able to equip ourselves. And the other thing is always be ready to learn. So if certain things that you have learned today, if it is not relevant, we must be ready to learn tomorrow as well. So yes, there might be pressure, there might be stress that we all will be feeling. But if the more open we are, I think the more we will be better equipped to deal with the situation. So hopefully that answer the question.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Bakawi, okay, for your sharing, okay, for answering the question. All right. So sorry about that. Okay, now, just to know Diana Nashwa, okay, sorry because I'm was in the midst of typing it. So could you just make sure that you are trying to log into your Utah email account, okay, in order to try to sign in again. Okay, we have another one more question here from anonymous attendee. Children's addiction to technology such as phones, games, and social media is very prominent today. So is there a suitable age as to when a child can be safely exposed to technology? So maybe we can either have Miss Wendy or maybe Miss Hall or maybe even Miss Carl, right, to try to answer this.
Okay, so I'll try. So children's addiction to technology is very prominent, all right? So actually nowadays, I would say that the addiction to technology is not only for children, all right? So I do have two young nephews at home, all right? And they are very addicted to this phone as well, but we are going to try to limit the screen time that they'll have. All right. So according to research, so for children younger than 2 year old, they are not supposed to have any screen time because the screen time will actually affect the development of the brain. But this one, how true is it? I cannot be very sure because that's what we actually find it online, all right, because we are having the young children at home, so that's what we found now, okay, and it's not good for the development as well. This one I think Miss Cow will have a better knowledge on that, on the development of the mental and the brain and so on, but it will distract their attention, so they tend to be too keen on the technology, and they will like they're in their own world. So for me, I don't think so is a good one. So I think we should limit the screen time for children, not only for the phone, but their iPad, the TV, all right? So whenever they're looking at the screen. So if can, maybe can actually ask them to play with other toys that can actually develop their thinking skill, psychomotor skill, and so on. So maybe Miss Carl, you have anything to add on here?
Sorry, Wendy. Yeah, no. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So Miss Hall, anything from you? Any last words or anything?
Not really, right?
Sorry. Okay. How about you, Ms. Bakawi?
Yes. Any last thing that I would share that yes, I insisting on the same points again. So I think this fourth industrial revolution is there, is waiting for us. So I think we should be better equipped to deal with them so that we can guide our younger generation as well. So I think that's all, Miss Cynthia.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Bakavi. Right, so it's time for us to end the session. Okay, it's almost 10 p.m. Right, so to Utah staff and students, right, so please make sure you have submitted the form. Okay, so you are reminded to sign in twice. Submit it twice, right? Sorry, once for signing in and once for signing out. Okay, so to all the panelists for today, right, thank you so much for sharing today, and to the participants, thank you for your time. Right, thank you for joining with us, and we hope that you have gained some knowledge, okay, to be brought back with you. Okay, so stay safe and take care, everyone. Okay, back to you, Mr. Tam.
Hi, thank you, Ms. Cynthia, and thank you for all the speakers. So before we come to the end, let me have a brief introduction to the Utah Foundation programs. You can see at the screen. So now we have the Center for Foundation Study that offering the foundation in art and foundation in science. If you happen to be the SPM level or O levels, you can apply to the SPM or O levels with at least 5 credits, 5 CO4. So if you are considering to use the other qualifications to apply to the foundations, you can check with us for the details. What do we offer in the foundation in arts and foundation in science? You can take a look about this. The foundation in art and foundation in science. So for the foundation in arts, we're preparing the students for the art and social science students, for the management and accountancy, and even the English, Chinese language study related bachelor degree programs in Utah. And for the foundation in science, we're preparing the students for the physical science, the biological science, and the information technology related bachelor degree programs in Utah. If you are interested on this, you can check with us for the details. For your information, that is great announced that in the Times Higher Education's THE ranking year 2020, Utah has been ranked in the 119th as the Asia University ranking. So in Malaysia, this means that the second place after the UM. Okay, now we have come to the end, but this is not the last. We have more the webinar to come. Stay tuned with us. For today's webinar, the recorded video is available in the Facebook page later. There's our UCAR for you. You can think about this, the UCAR for you, our Facebook page. So coming soon, we still have the next webinar forums, emerging opportunity of digital transformation with ICT, which on tomorrow, the 3rd of July, 8:30 p.m. So you can visit our website, study.utah.edu.my, to register for the Zoom live. And these are the other ways to contact us other than the Facebook and website. You can even contact us through the WhatsApp, even the WeChat, or the email. Thanks for watching. Wish you a good day and see you tomorrow again. Bye bye.